destroyed the automobile industry in this country. Already they ship down 30% of your jobs to Mexico. Under the new USMCA, that's Mexico and Canada. We got to get them to vote on that because that's an incredible deal. But under the new, it's going to be very hard for companies to leave you, to fire you, to go down, to make their product, whatever it may be, to send it back into the United States with no tax. All we end up with is unemployment and taxes and empty buildings. So they got to vote on the USMCA. Before I took office, foreign countries ripped us off, robbed us blind, and pushed us around. But America is not being pushed around anymore. Do you realize that? Do you realize that? I think I got that from working in Ohio for 2 summers, right? We've taken the toughest ever action to stand up to China's trade abuse, and I just announced another 10% tariff on $300 billion worth of Chinese products that come into our country. And that's on top of the 25% that we take of $250 billion coming in from China. And don't let them tell you, the fact is, China devalues their currency. They pour money into their system. They pour it in. And because they do that, you're not paying for those tariffs. China's paying for those tariffs. For the last 20 years, China's taken hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars out of our country, and now we're stopping the theft of American jobs. We're stopping the theft of so many other things happening, including intellectual property. They steal our intellectual property. And, you know, I think they want to try and make a deal with us, but I'm not sure. Because the word is, I feel, they want to wait till they get, they're praying. They're praying. They would like to see a new president in a year and a half so they could continue to rip off the United States like they've been doing for the last 25 years. They would love to see a guy like Sleepy Joe Biden, who has no clue what the hell he's doing. They'd say to Sleepy Joe, "Sir, just sign right there." "Oh, okay. I'll sign." We've been losing hundreds of billions of dollars a year to China. It has to stop, and they understand that. President Xi is a good man. He's a friend of mine. He understands it. And until such time as there is a deal, we will be taxing the hell out of China. That's all there is. Okay? If foreign countries don't want to pay a tariff, I have a simple solution. Make your product in America. Come on back to the United States. Come on back to Ohio. There's no tariff. There's no tariff. Thanks to steel tariffs, hundreds of thousands of tons, think of this, were dumped on our shores. And steel is like something else. It's not quality. They were dumping garbage. They call it sand steel. They call it dirt steel. It was mixed up. It was bad stuff. And we didn't want to use that for our jet fighters and for our beams that hold up buildings. But they were dumping tremendous quantities of steel. And what was happening is United States Steel and all of our companies were going virtually out of business, and I stopped it. I put on a 25% tariff. Billions of dollars is now pouring into our treasury, and our steel companies and our steel workers are coming back. Right here in Ohio, Nucor, a great steel company, and a steel company that's doing great again, Nucor, has announced an $85 million upgrade in Marion. Charter Steel announced plans to build a new $150 million steel mill in Cuyahoga Heights. And Cleveland Cliffs announced a new $700 million plant in a very good place that I like a lot, Toledo, Ohio. And this was unthinkable because 4 years ago, steel plants were closing. They weren't expanding and they weren't building. We're building new plants in Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, all over, not just Ohio. On issue after issue, Democrats have forgotten who it is that they're supposed to represent. They forgot. I wonder why they forgot. The job of elected officials is to represent American citizens. The radical Democrats even support deadly sanctuary cities which release dangerous criminals onto our streets. Sanctuary cities. And many of the places that have sanctuary cities and many of the people that live there, they don't want them. They don't want them. They're dangerous. They're not good. Here are just a few examples. In San Francisco, an illegal alien was arrested no fewer than 10 times in the span of less than 1 year for numerous counts of burglary and theft. Yet each time San Francisco defied federal authorities and set him free. And bad things happened when they set him free. A sanctuary jurisdiction in California recently released a criminal alien from jail. The very next month, the same individual was arrested for rape. And then beyond anything you would even believe, a horrible thing happened. But yet again, he was released back into your community. After a sanctuary city in New Jersey released an alien charged with domestic violence, he was arrested in Missouri for the murders of 3 people. In the bizarre worldview of the third and hard left, they have no problem destroying the lives of innocent Americans for a single politically incorrect thought. But they want to virtually, and you know this, they want virtual immunity for illegal aliens who have committed horrible crimes and murder. Horrible crimes and murder. Republicans believe our cities should be a sanctuary for law-abiding Americans, not criminal aliens. And yes, we just won a big lawsuit last week. In fact, one of my lawyers for winning that lawsuit is here tonight. I gave him a little reprieve. We need a lot of lawyers in the White House. We get sued so much, so unfairly. But we're winning those lawsuits left and right. But one of them is here. He said, I'd love to go to a rally. I said, I'm going to a place called Cincinnati, Ohio. You deserve it. We just won the lawsuit on the wall. Where's Pat? We just won the lawsuit on the wall. You hear that? And we're building the wall faster and better than ever. It's time for Democrats to end sanctuary cities, end catch and release. You know what you do? You catch them, and then you release them. And you say, would you please report back in 4 years from now? But only 2% come back. You know why? Because they're not the smartest. They are not the smartest. They're the ones we don't want to have come back. Only 2% show up, catch and release. We could end it immediately if the Democrats gave. So what we're doing is something else. We're keeping them out altogether. We're replacing random migration, and we're replacing the lottery system. How about the lottery system? How about lotteries? This was Chuck Schumer. You put the name in a basket. The country puts the name in the basket, and you pick people out of the lottery. Well, let's see. This one's a murderer. This one robbed 4 banks. This one, I better not say. This one, another murderer. Ladies and gentlemen, another murderer. Think of this. Do you think they're going to put their great citizens? They have great citizens. They have great people like we have great people. Do you think those people are going into a lottery? No. And then we get these people coming in and we hold it against the country. The country isn't based on that. The country, you just take a look. Look at the people they put into these lotteries. It's a disgrace. And how we've done this for so many years, folks, just how we've done this. It's an immigration system that's totally broken, and we're going to win the House, we're going to win the Senate, we're going to win the presidency, and we're going to do a merit-based immigration system. Merit-based. Merit-based immigration. And we need that because we have companies coming in from all over the world, and we need good workers. We need good people. We're down to 3.5% unemployment. We need people. But we want people to come in based on merit, not based on some lottery put in by a government. Democrats have never been farther outside the mainstream. Liberal politicians want to eliminate private health care and force everyone onto the government plan. Remember the lies from the previous administration. If you like your plan, you can keep your plan. If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. 28 times, one lie after another. 28 times it was said, and it turned out to be a total lie. My administration is defending your right to choose the plan and doctor that is best for you. We're offering right now plans up to 60% cheaper than Obamacare, and we will always protect patients with pre-existing conditions. Always. Always. Virtually every top Democrat also now supports late-term abortion. And then you'll have like a governor of Virginia. It's not only late-term abortion, it's killing the baby after the baby is born. How about that? Think of that. Think of that. That's why I've asked Congress to prohibit extreme late-term abortion, because Republicans believe that every child is a sacred gift from God. Democrats are now the party of high taxes, high crime, open borders, late-term abortion, and they're the party, frankly, of socialism. The Republican Party is the party of freedom. We're the party of the American worker, the American family. We're the party of the American dream. each and every day I had a great life. I used to get great publicity. Nobody got better publicity. I had such a great life. It was so easy. My great wife, the First Lady, Melania, she said, you know, you've always been a hard worker. You love to work. But your life was a lot easier in the old days. But I love it. And you know why I love it? Because we're accomplishing so much. Nobody ever thought it would be possible to do the things we're doing. Even a thing like Right to Try, right? Right to Try. They've been trying to get that for years and years and years. That's people that are really sick, terminally ill. They couldn't get medicine. We have the greatest doctors, the greatest clinics, the greatest technicians in the world. They couldn't get anything. They'd travel to Asia if they had money. They'd travel to Europe. They'd travel all over the world hoping for a cure. If they had no money, they'd just go home. They'd die. They had no hope. For 44 years, they've been trying to get Right to Try. We are so advanced in medicine. We have a lot of things that probably work or possibly work. But we weren't allowed legally to give that to these people that were so sick. You know why? Because they didn't want this drug, if it didn't work, to hurt the people. But the people were terminally ill. So I got it approved. And it wasn't easy. It was complicated. The insurance companies didn't want to do it. The government didn't want to do it. The doctors didn't want to do it. Tremendous liability. But our country didn't want to do it. They say, well, if it doesn't work, we're going to get sued. I say, so they'll sign an agreement, very strong, one page, taking all liability away from the United States, from the drug companies, from the doctors, all liability. They're terminally ill. Let's try it. And you know what? It's been a miracle. So many people have done so well. It's great. We got it done. When I said about the agreement, they had these great lawyers, and they said, gee, that's a good idea. They've been working at this for years. They said, that's a good idea. I said, yeah, it's a good idea. How about getting it to me like in about 2 hours? Right to Try, it's a great thing. But we have so many things like that. I have lists that you wouldn't even believe. I have lists that go on for pages of things we've done. We've launched a historic initiative to reduce the price of prescription drugs, including a plan to allow companies to import lower-cost drugs from other countries. It's a very unfair system. Our country pays the highest prices in the world. Last year was the first time in 51 years that drug pricing for prescription drugs actually came down. Now we're going to bring it down by a lot. We're going to bring it down a lot. And now, so other countries, here's an example. Canada pays half the price for a lot of drugs that we do. So we have a great governor in the state of Florida, Ron DeSantis, calls me up, doing a great job, Ron DeSantis. He was at 3 and he went to 70. That's a pretty good increase, right? Ron DeSantis is a great guy, huh? To me, he looks like he's a pretty clueless guy sometimes. Buy the drugs because this is so botched up. We have a middleman. It's not a good situation. He said, if I could go and buy the drugs from Canada, I could save 50%.
How do you shut this man up? Is there a way?
Do it. And if you can buy them from Europe, because the system, like, remember I used to scream when I was winning states?
Yeah, let's shut this man up. There we go. Okay, that crazy man behind me over here. It's just so insane. And if you see the people that are actually talking, you could see them right over here. Many of them are insane. They're not looking for what is best. They are not nimble for what is best. They are simply focused on every word coming out of his mouth, specifically focused on the words of contention. loving the words of contention. Make no mistake about it, they love their civil war. They live for their civil war. Without their civil war, they wouldn't be complete. And that is exactly the kind of dangerous hate that Trump is pushing as our President of the United States. He need not do that. But he does it because he's more concerned about himself shining and being a winner than he is about the country that we all call these United States of America. Think about that. Is that how our president should be acting? Should he be so concerned about his own well-being over that of the country? And you know what? He does it so openly, doesn't he? He does it in a way that makes you feel he's being truthful because he's direct. So, what you need to fight against that, my fellow Democrats, is somebody who is equally truthful, equally forceful in that truth, and breaks through all the crap so quick and gets directly to what matters. Donald Trump says that we are lost as Democrats, that we want to kill babies, and his people get so excited by that. At the same time, they're so ready to take health care away that kills human beings as well. This is a consistent message on doing what is right for the American people, for the life in this country. We have to bring that life up. And when your happy healer comes, that is me. I speak from conviction. And let me get in the position where we know the people belong. You just shove aside your condescending candidate. You don't need it. All you ever needed was the love and the truth and the right way forward. Let's listen back to this guy here. I can't wait to be up there so I could just show him all the truth. The world they have just put us in, it's so wrong. We will get to that truth. You better believe it. All right, now back to, let's dumb this conversation down, shall we?
Fixed up, all perfect, and they can do it immediately. We'll pay the bill. And I said, man, am I smart. I am the smartest guy to think of that. So I went before this panel of experts.
It's never the American people. It's never the American people. It's always Trump who's smart. Remember, the hard work and ingenuity of the American people bringing about the times that we have experienced. Any of the good times? That's not you. It's not me. It's not our hard work, our love, the conviction that we have for our families. It's Donald Trump.
And accountability. You couldn't fire anybody. If they were treating our vets badly, you couldn't fire them for anything. People could steal, they could be sadistic to our vets. By the way, they wouldn't have done that in prime time to our vets, I can tell you that. They could be whatever they want. You couldn't fire them. And it was because of unions, and it was because of other things. Civil service, very tough. You couldn't fire anybody for almost anything. We had cases where people got caught stealing a lot of money, and you couldn't fire them. We got VA accountability. Now we say, Jim, get the hell out of here. You're fired. We're rebuilding our military, and after years of budget cuts and layoffs, the Army tank plant in, do you know Lima? You call it Lima, right? See? You know, most people call it Lima, but I know Lima. You know why? Because I came here and they said, we're closing this plant. I said, what kind of a plant is it? Remember when I was here? In Lima. And I used to say, you mean Lima? They said, no, sir, it's Lima. That's why. Hey, look, I'll be honest with you. Because they have it wrong in the teleprompter, okay? And I would have been in big trouble. But the good news is I don't use the...
Yeah, he's an honest guy. Surely.
If I did, you would have been out of here a long time ago, because it gets very boring when you do the teleprompter deal. But in Lima, and I said, what kind of a plant? And I said, let's go see it. During the campaign, I went to see it, and they make the best Army tank in the world. And I couldn't believe the complexity, the genius, I said, wait a minute, you close this, you'll never be able to open it again. You can't open this. This isn't like a normal situation that you can open 4 walls and a roof. This is complicated. This is genius. And you'll never replace these men and women that work here. I said, and I didn't know anything at the time, other than I said, you're not closing it. They took it off the list. They kept it open. And now we're making Army tanks around the clock. We're investing in the future of human space flight. Americans won the race to the moon, and we will now win the race to Mars. It's going to be amazing. And, you know, one thing I have to say also.
You know, the worst thing about Trump being the worst pie in the sky you could ever have is because what he's selling isn't attainable for you. Remember that. It's not attainable when you just work everything with hate. You're saying we're going to the moon. This will never happen on his watch. He goes backward. He wants to open more factories for human beings to spend their essence and life in a factory. In the year 2019. Does that sound like forward progress? I don't think so.
$50 billion. We gave Iran $1.8 billion in cash. Plane loads of cash. I wonder what they saw when those planes landed. I wonder what happened to the cash. Can you believe it? $1.8 billion we gave them in cash. And remember what I said, Iran is a much different country than 2.5 years ago. When I took over, Iran was all over. They had 14 to 18 different sites of confliction. They were all over. And now they just want to, they want to negotiate a deal so badly. Iran. I recognized Israel's true capital and opened the American embassy in Jerusalem. And just a few months ago, we recognized the Golan Heights. You know that. That's another one, big one, for the security of Israel. We also recognize the legitimate government of Venezuela, and we condemn any of the socialist brutality taking place. Let's see what happens there. Let's see what happens. Tonight, we renew our resolve that America will never be a socialist country. Never, ever, ever will it be a socialist country.
In other words, we will never provide a life worth living for the people who matter. We put America first, but never will we actually put the Americans that make America, America. That's how your American exceptionalism is repaid, with that negligence.
No matter what label they use, a vote for any Democrat in 2020 is a vote for the rise of radical socialism and the destruction of our great, our beautiful, our wonderful American dream. We're not going to let our country ever go down the route of socialism.
So health care for all, income for all, the things that will actually make you to be able to live your fate, because Trump has lived his fate. You don't get to have a fate. You are the humans. You're the forced slave labor, actually, in America. We're going to talk about that.
I say it again, I say it all the time. Never happened before. There's never been a movement like this. They've had movements. They never went. They won a state. They did well in a state. We won 32 states. There's never been anything like it. There's never been anything like it. But this movement is about your family and your future, and it's about the life and the fate of your country. We begin hey, look, this is a good place. Is this a great thing to do? We begin our campaign And we're going to do great, Bob. Right, Bob? Bob, if we don't do great, you're fired, Bob. You're fired. But think of it, our Ohio campaign with the best record, the best results, the best agenda, and the only positive vision for our nation's future. And again, remember this, Ohio is doing better today than it's ever done before. It's the best it's ever done. So what's going to do? A guy like a sleepy Joe Biden is going to come in and say, but I can do better. I can do better. He wants to go back to sleep. Together we will continue unleashing.
Yeah, me and Trump both against Joe Biden for president and against Trump for president.
Their fullest and highest potential, tremendous potential. Our country has such tremendous potential. You know, we've had the highest stock market in the history of our country. That means 401ks. That means jobs. But there's tremendous potential to go up. We have tremendous potential to go up. With your help, we will elect a Republican Congress to create a safe, modern, fair, and lawful system of immigration. We will enact trade deals that ensure more products are proudly stamped with those four beautiful words, made in the USA or made in America. Why the one? You can use either one. Made in America, made in the US. We will achieve new breakthroughs in science and medicine, and I see what they're doing. I see it. They show me the things we're doing in our country today. There's never been anything like it. We will be ending the AIDS epidemic shortly in America and curing childhood cancer very shortly. We will defend privacy, free speech, religious liberty, and the right to keep and bear arms. And just remember, with the Democrats, there is no Second Amendment. You can forget about keep and bear arms. You can forget it.
Yeah, there goes the fear.
Above all, we will never stop fighting.
No. With all the other Democrats, yes. But I am your freedom president. I realize that it's hate like his, like this man. It's his kind of hate. And the hate that the Democrats are giving out, that us ordinary Americans, we have to give more freedoms away. And yeah, because one side hates the other, we can't trust you. We take your freedoms, you take ours. What we all end up with is less freedoms. I am for the Second Amendment. Make no mistake about it. I am for fixing the human being. What is wrong within our spirit? Doing love and truth is the way. This crap has got to go.
And we believe that faith and family, not government and bureaucracy, are the true American way. We believe that children should be taught to love our country, honor our history, and always be proud, patriotic Americans. And we will always live by the words of our national motto, "In God we trust." Two days ago, I spoke at the 400th anniversary of the first Representative Legislature Assembly at Jamestown, Virginia. It was beautiful.
No. In God we trust? Sure. Easy for him to say, the man of no faith. In God we trust, and then we go hate. God is love and truth.
We have been blessed with
God is not about the greed that we're representing right now. Is that what you thought?
the greatest republic on
Well,
the
that's
face
wrong.
of the earth.
and I'm not going to allow it. I'm going to get right to what matters, and that's you and me. That's to focus on the problems that we see all around us, the biggest problem being the disunity. Every day of his presidency, what?
That we are Americans and the future belongs to us.
No, you just believe in the future belonging to you, and now we see you're trying to prop up your daughter. These are more important than us being served. Remember, folks, it's about a life worth living.
And with your help and your devotion and your drive, we are going to keep on working.
With our help, devotion, and drive, we just keep on working and fighting and never giving up and get nowhere for it. I'm over it. We're moving on to a life worth living. We'll keep on working and fighting, but not for your greatness, Trump, who wants to swallow and take up all the credit. No, it's the result in the hard work and the ingenuity of the American people. You forget that every time you take the credit, and instead we're going to give that credit back. And instead of throwing the humanity into jobs that are thankless, we're going to bring in future times of technology. We're going to provide a health care for all and an income for all because we know it's the right thing to do. And we will improve the way we do things. Look at what your Happy Healer has been able to accomplish on the smallest of resources. We are going to continue with that kind of truth and momentum moving forward to the American people. We are working on getting our campaign bus put together now. We are working on going through this country because we owe it to ourselves to make a life worth living.
We are making America great again, and with your vote in 2020, we will keep America great. Thank you, Ohio. Thank you.
Okay, thoroughly once again, and I love it. I should do this more often because nobody can just really rile up the truth out of me better than your President Trump, the same guy I am also responsible for having put in, and I don't regret a moment of it because I know why I did it. I was focused then. I'm focused now. The focus is for you. Let me make sure that the sound is still on because my responsibilities, they never end. Not so weak like your presidential candidates on the Democratic side, not so hateful and weak and fat like your Donald Trump, but rather lean, and it's a machine that works for the American people, that we get directly to what matters. And it seems some people are just for making a hard time. You want to know something? I say this to you people. I like my balls, okay? I like my balls. So quit busting them and get on this campaign on a message that actually serves the American people. And I don't mean this campaign, I mean this one. Me, okay? Our campaign, the campaign of the people, for the people, by the people. And enough with this crap. Lies. Right there. Lies, and he isn't going to bring us to the promised land. His job for your Happy Healer was to throw a wrench in the system. He did it great because we weren't getting anywhere with that stagnation. Even Democrats today who talk about all the options being gone in a short 12 years because we failed to do what we're supposed to do on climate change. Well, guess what? President Obama wasn't going to meet your timeline either. Okay? What we need is unity and love in this country. We need somebody to really just step up and say the disunity that they're doing is manipulation. It's because they're in control with their greed. We are going to put our finger on the greed and say that this is the problem. I see it every time. I'm using a media to epic effect, and we are keeping it epic to show just how true it is in my own life. The truth, unless you are prepared to say that the life I lived is not true, because the pain I felt is. And we learn. We learn not from our mistakes, but from the mistakes of others. And because of their horrible ways, that it doesn't work for the American people. They are shameful, my friends, lacking all courage, lacking vision. They are too blind from their hate. And they have expectations to win, as if they could. As if they could. They are using Trump's game. They are trying to out-hate the hate monger. It'll never work. It'll never work. You have to use the energy of our Creator, God Almighty. You have to do love, and you have to do truth, and you have to do it on wholesale for the American individual. You have to remember what you are in it for. You are in it because you know our times. You know that we have a Cold War, and the war of our time now is the civil war that we are stoking in our own lives, because many of us are responsible for it when we stoke the disunity between our brothers and ourselves. So unacceptable. And then we have our leaders that they set the stage, don't they? That's why you are also part to blame when you put your confidence in them, especially when God sends forth to you the love and truth that represents me. Yeah, it's time. They don't have answers for these problems in nuclear war and proliferation that's right on the doorstep of America. They don't have a plan for that. They're going back in time. This man wants to go back in time. He wants more yesterday's factories and yesterday's ways of doing things and yesterday's hate and not tomorrow's promise. And you know, the technological future that we want to usher in, and in my campaign we will, because we must in order to meet the threats of our time, like nuclear proliferation, like the environmental crisis. Science will solve that. You can't throw trillions of dollars at a problem. When it arrives, you have to think in advance on this one, my friends, and nobody's doing that tough work. I work myself up into a frenzy, but I do it for the right reasons. I have that conviction, that power of truth working for me. That's where I get my energy from. And I challenge and debate anybody, including all of my supporters, including the people watching this. Stand up for what is right. And if you want to debate against somebody, come debate against me. I have thought for years on what is right. I am a 40-year-old man, and I am ready to have that conversation. So come debate against me. Bring your hate and greed and defend that against me. That's what I bring. That's why you need me in these debates, in the Democratic debates to start with, and then against Trump, so we win. So we can work for the American people, and we get over the days of this hate and division, and we work on to a new prosperous future for the American individual who just loves God with all of their longing. Yeah, I'm not your typical candidate, that's for sure. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you win elections. You gather a group of individuals who remember with longing easier times, and you talk to them about their values and character, and you make accusations, and you stow division, and you tell them who's to blame for it. That's right. But in this campaign, we are realistic. We know that the buck stops with the President of the United States, the supreme leader in that way, because the guy at the top is the guy who sets the standard for everybody else. So if that standard is hate, well then, from the supreme message maker, the biggest bully pit in the world, what is this guy doing? He's stoking hate. Is that helping Lady Liberty 1 ounce? Or is that taking from our freedoms? You be the judge. Because after all, it's in the wake of that hate that we all have to live. And that's why I say my candidacy is about a life worth living. Make no mistake about it. I am proud to say that, because there has been no better time for a candidate like I. I am not political. I don't have any interest in being political, because these guys don't get shit done. And it's time to get things done for the American people. It's time to make progress and let love and truth win. It's time for people to really get rid of their sanity and bring in love. Marry it to truth. Then we'll make progress. We'll see you soon. But let me just tell you before I go, that Mueller probe, Trump just brought it up again. Democrats, do we really want that on our plate? It's a losing issue. Choose your happy healer for the Democratic nomination, and we can shed that. We don't have to have that. I have been on the whole time, I have been on the right side of history with this? Well, that's easy for me to see because I could see all of the indiscretions of Trump. It's like these guys pick the worst thing. If they want to try and point to something bad Trump done, they go and pick some big old fake joke instead of picking the many real things that you can actually prosecute the man on. But instead, they chose something that didn't have the teeth. And because they were almost successful in doing it, it is a big sore thumb on the Democratic Party. And you guys are all dug in because here's the fact. Every last one of the candidates running are for impeachment for this very issue. They will lose on that. And if you guys put the person up who supported this measure, you will lose for that reason. And the Democratic Party needs to be the party that's putting up a candidate that is the answer for our problems, not just another version of new problems. America will just stick with Trump then. Take it from somebody who is from his voter class, who voted for him and for the right reasons. I don't back everything Trump says, but I certainly wouldn't have wanted the stagnation that comes along with Clinton either. And you can see the kind of people they hang out with and the trouble that they bring. You can see their corruption. And when you see that and you ignore it, then you get and you deserve what you get from that. We're talking about a better way of doing things, folks. We're trusting in God and truth and the love in our lives. We know that when we do in our own hearts the right things, we can expect others to also do the same thing. And we have the righteous indignation to say so. And when we hold them to account and we criticize, our words sting because they stick. They stick. They will always stick when you're doing the right thing for the American people. They will never fall short. That's the beautiful thing, because when you're on that truth, you know you're working for them. So those Democrats who are sticking behind this ridiculous idea of Biden, or, for example, your favorite progressive candidate like Mr. Gay Pete Man, let me tell you about him. Just being gay alone is not a qualification for president. And I know some of you really like that. Cling to somebody who can appeal to Trump's people. I'm gay. Let's do this. Okay? Let's get it done. Let's get it done for the right reasons. Don't be so married to ideas about a progressive thought that as if somebody just being gay alone were enough to handle all of our problems and to bring in the promised land and to make life great. Like I said, a life worth living. It's not going to do it, folks. We have to do things that actually appeal to the masses, appeals to the general American. That is all of us. Appeals to the better within, and that does that hard work, and that steps up to the plate and says, count me in, I'm there, what's the job? And that is what will win in our greatest time of need. As so far as I've been alive and I've been alive for the last 40 years, this is the greatest time of need for the American people, for our country, and virtually the best we can put up is what we have out there. I know that's not the truth, and I know that they aren't the best, and that if we rely on them, then we lose. We are merely choosing which candidate to lose against Trump, and you know that I'm right. This man is strong in his hate, and his hate works because it gets to the fundamental passion and emotion within the individual American. We have to actually get in that place too, but we have to do it with love. We can use hate too, but the kind of, not hate, but anger. Anger from love looks a lot like anger from hate, except for it moves mountains instead of just moves little things. Trump is moving little things and controlling the mountains with it. We need to actually move those mountains, and we can, and we can. It's the beautiful thing. We know we can, and we will. We know we will. Trump has actually made it a joke, hasn't he? He has seen the Democratic lineup. He knows that they are a joke and that victory is his. He even went out there and said, is there not a single American who can step up and beat me? I said, wow, you gotta be kidding me. This man is so confident in his victory, and so are the Democrats, yet they still stand firm on who they will pick to lose against Trump. I say pick somebody who you know will win, who has been part of his voter class, who can get in the minds of those people, who's someone who that loves God with true conviction, and that is doing the hard work for humanity and for the essence of God, which is truth and love. That's right. So that's what he said. He said, is there not a single American who can step up and beat me? Well, After he did that, he launched into laughter, and I see that laughing so loud, and here's also what that has accomplished. Me. My candidacy answers that call to action, and it wipes that smile off of his face. Go with that. Try that.